Ever wondered what happened to the beloved cast of the Addams Family after their eerie, gothic charm faded from the spotlight? Life hasn't exactly been kind to some of them. Unexpected accidents, sudden twists of fate, and struggles that sent their once glorious careers spiraling downward. In 2025, we uncover the untold stories behind the stars who brought this iconic family to life. Where are they now? What challenges have they faced? Their journeys are filled with surprises, heartbreak, and resilience. Stay tuned as we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between. John Astin, who portrayed the exuberant Gomez Addams in the Addams Family, was 34 years old when the show first aired, bringing to life an eccentric and romantic patriarch with boundless energy. Astin's performance captured hearts, but his personal life was far less whimsical. Married 3 times, first to Suzanne Hahn, then actress Patty Duke, and finally to Valerie and Sandoval, he had 6 children, including actor Mackenzie Astin and Sean Astin. His marriages were riddled with infidelity, separations, and painful custody battles, particularly with Duke, who struggled with mental health issues. Astin faced career stagnation after the 1970s, relegated mostly to minor guest spots and low-budget films. He battled depression after his second divorce and financial hardship due to bad investments. Despite these challenges, he found solace later in teaching drama. Now 94, he lives quietly in a Maryland retirement home, relying mostly on royalties. His estate is estimated at around $1.5 million, a far cry from the wealth he once glimpsed in Hollywood's golden years. Carolyn Jones, the ethereal Morticia Addams, was 34 when she stepped into the role of the gothic matriarch whose deadpan wit and magnetic beauty enchanted audiences. In contrast, Jones's real life was marred by relentless sorrow. Married 4 times, most famously to producer Aaron Spelling, each relationship ended in heartache, with no children to carry on her legacy. She battled serious illnesses for much of her life, including a devastating diagnosis of colon cancer in the 1970s, which she concealed from the public to protect her career. Her later years saw a painful decline, marked by financial struggles and isolation after Hollywood offers dried up. Friends often recalled her loneliness and desperate attempts to return to the spotlight. Jones passed away on August 3, 1983, at just 53 years old, succumbing to cancer alone in her West Hollywood apartment. At the time of her death, her estate was valued at a modest $500,000, most of which was consumed by medical bills. Ted Cassidy, unforgettable as the towering lurch and the mysterious thing, was just 30 when the Addams Family debuted. With his deep voice and imposing height, Cassidy was typecast almost immediately, and roles outside of horror and sci-fi proved elusive. His personal life was no less burdened. Married to Margaret Helen Jesse, the couple had 2 children, but the marriage collapsed under the strain of Cassidy's long absences and growing frustration with Hollywood. Known to wrestle with intense bouts of depression, he withdrew further after suffering a heart attack in the mid-70s. Ted faced financial instability due to dwindling roles and increasing medical expenses. In 1979, he underwent surgery to remove a tumor but tragically passed away from post-operative complications at just 46 years old. Cassidy's estate was estimated to be a mere $300,000 at the time, a small sum for a man whose presence left such a large impression on American television. Lisa Loring, who brought the morbidly adorable Wednesday Addams to life at just 6 years old, seemed destined for a bright future. Yet her life became a tangled tragedy. Loring struggled with addiction from her teenage years, leading to unstable relationships. She married 4 times, first at age 15 to Farrell Fumberg, with whom she had a daughter, Vanessa. Later marriages to actors Doug Stevenson and Graham Rich ended in bitter divorces fueled by substance abuse and financial woes. She lost custody battles, faced estrangement from both of her daughters, Vanessa and Marianne, and fought publicly against bankruptcy. Despite brief acting comebacks, including soap opera roles, she never escaped the shadow of Wednesday Addams. Friends recalled her yearning for the innocence she portrayed on screen, a stark contrast to her turbulent reality. Lisa Loring died on January 28, 2023, from complications of a stroke at 64. At the time of her death, her estate was worth approximately $250,000, most of it consisting of residuals and memorabilia sales. Ken Weatherwax, who portrayed the mischievous and inventive Pugsley Addams in the Addams Family, was just 9 years old when the show debuted. His portrayal of the curious boy always up for bizarre experiments made him a fan favorite. However, Weatherwax's life after fame was anything but joyful. Struggling to find stable work as an adult actor, he battled depression and severe weight issues. His early fame haunted him, leading to long periods of isolation. Weatherwax never married, though he had a brief engagement in his 30s that ended bitterly. He lived alone, estranged from most of his family, and spent years drifting between jobs behind the scenes in Hollywood. His later life was marked by financial hardship, brushes with the law, and hospitalizations due to health complications. Tragically, he passed away of a heart attack on December 7, 2014, at the age of 59. His estate was modest, estimated at just $50,000, mostly consisting of memorabilia from his early career. Though he had few close connections by the end, fans remembered him fondly for bringing Pugsley to life. Parley Baer, who brought Arthur J. Henson, the bumbling insurance man and city commissioner, to life in 6 memorable episodes of The Addams Family, was 50 years old when the show aired. Known for his jovial demeanor and bumbling charm, Baer's real life was filled with more sorrow than laughter. After his brief television fame faded, Baer struggled to find meaningful roles, relegated to voice work and bit parts. His marriage to actress Ernestine Clark was long but filled with grief, especially after the death of their only child, a daughter named Patricia, in a car accident. Financial worries dogged him for decades, forcing him to work well into old age. Baer suffered 5 major personal losses throughout his life: the death of his daughter, financial ruin, a major house fire, declining health, and the painful dissolution of friendships. He passed away on November 22, 2002, at the age of 88 after complications from a stroke. His estate, valued at around $200,000, was left primarily to his surviving nieces and nephews. Eddie Quillen, who appeared in various guest roles on The Addams Family, was 58 years old when the show debuted. A veteran of silent films and early Hollywood musicals, Quillen's boyish charm and affable presence kept him working steadily, until the roles dried up in the 1970s. Behind the cheerful screen image was a life marked by profound loneliness. Quillen never married, claiming later that he was wed to the business, though friends whispered of a heartbroken romance with a young actress who died tragically. His later years were marred by poor health, fading fame, financial instability, and battles with alcohol. A serious fall in 1988 left him hospitalized and frail. Eddie died on July 19, 1990, at the age of 83 from cancer. His modest estate was estimated at about $75,000, much of it going toward unpaid medical bills. Despite his hardships, he was remembered by industry insiders as a kind soul who never lost his love for performance, even when the lights dimmed. Vito Scotti, who memorably portrayed Sam Picasso, the quirky and eccentric artist in The Addams Family, was 39 years old when the show aired. His flair for outrageous characters made him a staple in countless shows throughout the 60s and 70s, but off-camera, Scotty's life was a series of difficult chapters. He married actress Beverly Tyler, and they had 2 children, Michael and Rosalinda, but the marriage was tempestuous and ended in a bitter divorce. Scotty struggled with bouts of depression following the death of his son in a motorcycle accident. Career opportunities dwindled as television trends changed, forcing him into financial insecurity. 5 significant tragedies, including a near-fatal car accident, bankruptcy, and long-term estrangement from his daughter, darkened his final years. Vito Scotti passed away from lung cancer on June 5, 1996, at the age of 70. His estate, once substantial, had dwindled to an estimated $150,000. Despite his later struggles, he remained a cherished figure among fans of vintage television. Alan Jocelyn, who appeared in multiple guest roles on The Addams Family, was 64 years old when the series premiered. Known for his portrayals of snooty or pompous characters, Jocelyn's sharp delivery made him a memorable presence even in minor parts. Off-screen, Jocelyn's life was marked by sorrow. He married actress Virginia Bruce in 1940. They had 2 daughters, Emily and Caroline. Despite their initial glamour as a Hollywood couple, the marriage grew tense under financial strain and Bruce's battles with alcoholism. They divorced in 1955, and Jocelyn never remarried, growing increasingly isolated. His career faltered after The Addams Family, and roles became scarce, leading to depression and financial difficulties. Among the tragedies he endured were bankruptcy, estrangement from his eldest daughter, and a debilitating stroke in 1975. Jocelyn passed away from heart failure on January 21, 1981, at the age of 79, largely forgotten by the industry he had once charmed. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at a modest $200,000, a sharp contrast to his earlier prosperity. He spent his final years quietly in a small apartment in Woodland Hills, far from the glitter of his Hollywood heyday. Margaret Hamilton, who portrayed Hester Frump, Morticia's bumbling yet endearing mother, was 62 years old when she appeared in 3 episodes of The Addams Family. Famous for her earlier role as the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz, Hamilton's career declined sharply afterward, leaving her typecast and struggling. Her personal life was equally difficult. She married Paul Boynton Meserve in 1931 and had 1 son, Hamilton Wadsworth Meserve. Their marriage ended bitterly in 1938 after years of infidelity and emotional distance. She remained single for the rest of her life. Hamilton faced many tragedies, including severe typecasting, chronic loneliness, a house fire that destroyed precious personal memorabilia, and a disfiguring accident in the 1970s that limited her public appearances. Despite her hardships, she continued acting in small roles until her health declined. Hamilton passed away from a heart attack on May 16, 1985, at the age of 82. At the time of her death, her estate was valued at around $500,000, much of which was left to her son and favorite charities supporting children's literacy. She lived her final years modestly in a small New York apartment. Barry Kelly, who appeared in various guest roles on The Addams Family, was 52 years old when the show debuted. His imposing frame and stern demeanor made him a natural for playing authority figures, though off-screen, Kelly yearned for roles that showed more depth. After the series, his acting opportunities dwindled, and he often voiced frustration at being pigeonholed. Kelly married his childhood sweetheart, Eleanor Hart, in 1940. They had 3 children, Paul, David, and Ruth. Although deeply devoted to his family, the pressure of financial instability and constant relocation strained their relationships, leading to a quiet but painful divorce in 1968. He later remarried briefly but remained embittered by his earlier failure. Tragedy marked his later life, including struggles with alcoholism, alienation from 2 of his children, and the death of his second wife in a car accident. Kelly died from cancer on June 5, 1991, at the age of 84. His estate was valued at approximately $300,000. Despite his public image as a tough man, those close to him knew a gentle soul who spent his final years tending a small garden in Northern California, longing for a career revival that never came. Richard Reeves, who portrayed various small guest roles in The Addams Family, was 52 years old when the show first aired. His heavy-set figure and gruff voice often landed him roles as thugs or henchmen, yet Reeves harbored dreams of playing more sympathetic characters. Married to seamstress Lillian Marks in 1945, the couple had 1 son, Thomas Reeves. Their marriage was fraught with financial worries, exacerbated by Reeves' mounting typecasting frustrations and his growing dependence on alcohol. They separated in 1962 but never formally divorced. Reeves suffered a string of misfortunes, losing his home to foreclosure, struggling with untreated depression, surviving a near-fatal car accident, and ultimately battling liver disease. His career was already on a steep decline when he died of cirrhosis of the liver on March 17, 1967, at the young age of 55. At the time of his death, Reeves's estate was estimated at just $50,000, a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of Hollywood fame. His final days were spent alone in a small rented room in Los Angeles, surviving on modest television bit parts and hoping for one last chance at stardom that never arrived. Cynthia Pepper, who appeared as a guest star in The Addams Family, was only 24 years old when she made her brief yet notable appearance. Known for her youthful charm and versatility, she played a character who would become a memorable part of the quirky universe. Despite the brief nature of her role, Cynthia's career began to flourish in television, but it never fully blossomed into long-term stardom. She starred in a number of series during the late 50s and early 60s, but none ever reached the same cult status as The Addams Family. Her personal life was equally complicated. Cynthia married once, to actor and producer Ronald J. Lacey, but the marriage ended in a bitter divorce after just 4 years. They had one child, a daughter named Sarah, but their separation strained family ties, and Cynthia remained distant from her daughter as she struggled to balance work and motherhood. Despite a series of failed relationships, she eventually found contentment outside the public eye. As of today, Cynthia lives quietly in her home in California, maintaining a low profile and avoiding the Hollywood spotlight. Her estate, valued at approximately $1.5 million, consists mainly of real estate and a few personal investments, including an old family cottage. Cynthia is now in her late 80s, and although she never reached the level of fame she once dreamed of, she reflects on her past work with gratitude. Lee Bergera, who appeared in multiple guest roles throughout the Addams Family series, was 39 years old at the time of filming. He brought a distinctive flair to each character he portrayed, never failing to add a bit of his personal touch to the roles. Bergera had a prolific career in both television and theater, becoming a well-respected character actor in Hollywood. However, his personal life was marred by personal struggles. Married 3 times, his first 2 marriages were short-lived, ending in divorce. His third marriage to actress Jeanette Fields, with whom he had 2 children, seemed to be the most enduring but was also plagued by issues related to his heavy work schedule and Jeanette's rising career demands. The couple eventually separated in 1986, with Bergera's relationship with his children growing distant as the years went on. He faced financial difficulties in his later years, with many of his investments and properties falling into foreclosure. Bergera passed away on January 31, 2007, at 88 years old, from complications related to heart disease. He left behind a modest estate valued at around $300,000, much of which was claimed by creditors before his passing. Alan Reed, known for his voice work as Park Commissioner Fisk in The Addams Family, was 57 years old when the series aired. Although his portrayal of Fisk was not a lead role, his rich, deep voice and distinctive characterizations made him a beloved figure within the show. Reed had a long career as a voice actor, most notably voicing Fred Flintstone in The Flintstones, which catapulted him to fame. However, despite the success of his iconic roles, Reed's personal life was fraught with challenges. He was married 3 times, with his second marriage to actress and singer Peggy Larkin being the most publicized. The couple's tumultuous relationship ended in a messy divorce, and Reed's subsequent marriages were also plagued by infidelity and emotional distance. His children, 2 sons named Thomas and Michael, became estranged from him due to his overbearing nature. In his later years, Reed struggled with health problems and financial issues. He passed away on June 14, 1977, at 69 years old, from a stroke. At the time of his death, His estate was valued at approximately $1.2 million, though much of it was tied up in unpaid debts. Despite these personal struggles, Reed is remembered fondly by fans of both the Addams Family and the Flintstones for his distinctive contributions to animation. Who is your favorite character from the Addams Family? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.